This is the final part of Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution. I know I've been talking about Congress for quite some time now, and I'm going to go ahead and finish up. I know my hair looks like it does. I just got out of the shower, so just bear with me. Ignore the hair and let's get on with this, all right? Now, unless Congress approves it, no money will be withdrawn from the U.S. Treasury, okay? So when money is drawn from the Treasury, the Congress itself approves it, probably by a 2/3 vote or whatever, I don't know. But unless Congress says, let's take the money, and they have to all agree on this, then the money is not taken out of the Treasury. It's just that simple. And periodically, the finances of the Treasury, the things that the things that Congress does with all the Treasury money, they put in a report. They have to do this by the rules of the U.S. Constitution. They have to periodically tell everybody what they did with that money. Okay? Now, they don't have to exactly give you every single detail, but what they do is they have to pretty much give you a justification why so much money went out of the Treasury. Okay? Now, in England, you have your dukes, your duchesses, you have your princesses, your princes, and you have your king, your queen, and all this other stuff. These are all titles of nobility. The United States doesn't grant anybody a title of nobility here. None. Zip. Zero. You want a title of nobility, you move to another country because you're not going to get it here. Alright? Not only will U.S. Congress not do that, but they have told the states, all 50 states, they have told them, you are not going to grant titles of nobility to anyone without our approval. And we don't approve. So there you go. Okay? Now, a state like Illinois or Indiana or Kentucky or whatever cannot enter into a treaty with another country unless Congress approves of it. Okay, so the U.S. Congress has to approve of any treaty that is negotiated by, say, Illinois. Let's say Illinois wanted to make a treaty with France. They can't have that approved unless Congress says it's okay. If Congress doesn't say so, no treaty. Period. Okay? So, it's one of those things that the United States Congress controls what treaties go on between the individual states and other countries. Okay? And no state is supposed to grant a letter of marque. Now, what is a letter of marque? Well, in other countries, back in the colonial days, what they would do is they would hire mercenaries to attack and capture ships. Okay, so let's say Great Britain wanted to capture a French ship. So what they do is they'd hire a mercenary and say, hey, this is your letter of marque here. You go out, you attack that ship, you capture that ship, and you bring it back to our British ports, and we'll take all the goods and give you a fee for doing all this. And the guy's like, yeah. Well, the United States cannot hire mercenaries like that, nor can any state hire mercenaries like that. You can't do that. It's illegal. Okay? Now, no state can coin its own money except for gold and silver coins. Now, if a state has gold or if it has silver, then they can make coins. But other than that, they can't make their own money. Alright? And no state can make dollar bills like what you see with U.S. dollar bills. Never. And what this is called is a bill of credit. In other words, they can, the state can't say, all right, you can use this piece of paper as legal tender anywhere. All right? That's what the United States has. We have our paper money, and you can use that as legal tender anywhere in the United States or even overseas. Well, the states themselves, Illinois can't make their own printing press and say, okay, this is Illinois money. They can't do that. Okay? Now, they can come up with municipal bonds, and they can come up with Treasury securities and that kind of thing. You can take a look at what the kind of things they can actually make out loans, but those loans are based on U.S. money. They're not based on Illinois money. They're based on U.S. money. Okay? So, the United States Congress controls all paper money. Period. End of story. But like I said, if Illinois suddenly acquired a whole mass of gold, say they found a gold mine and they acquired a whole mass of gold, they could turn that gold into coin money. They can do that legally. And if they had silver, they could do the same thing, but they would have to use the weights and measures system of the U.S. Congress. In other words, if they say that if Illinois makes a silver coin and says it has so much silver in it, it better have a congressionally approved amount of silver. Otherwise, it's no good. Alright? So the Congress sets the weights and measures, but if Illinois stumbled upon a ton of silver, they can make a whole bunch of silver coins and sell them. Okay? Alright. And the thing is, they could actually use those silver coins or those gold coins to pay off debts. They could do that. Now, like I was saying before, a bill of credit is something like money, kind of like, you know, it's like I was describing to you, and it's sort of like an IOU, okay? Now, this is separate from municipal bonds. Okay, municipal bonds, that's kind of an IOU that is based on U.S. currency. A bill of credit would be more like your paper money. I think I just explained that to you. Alright? Now, states cannot pass any bill of attainders, ex post facto laws, or grant any title of nobility. No state can grant a title of nobility to anybody. Okay. Now, U.S. Congress can impose taxes on imports and exports. U.S. Congress can. State Congresses cannot do that. Okay. So once you pay your federal tax on any imported or exported goods, that's it. You don't have to worry about state taxes after that. State taxes can be sales taxes as far as that's concerned, but they cannot be taxes on the import or export itself. Okay. Now, states can't tax tonnage. What they would do is they would tax the capacity of a ship. In other words, if the ship can hold a certain number of goods, then you have it taxed because it can hold a certain number of goods. States can't tax like that. They found ways to get around that, but they can't tax like that. Okay. Now, states can't keep their own troops. Okay? In other words, even the National Guard is subject to the United States Congress. Illinois cannot ship to Iran Illinois troops and say, okay, these troops represent Illinois. Doesn't work that way. If those National Guard troops go out and fight Iran, it's because the U.S. Congress said they could go out and fight Iran. Otherwise, they can't leave. And they cannot function officially as anything without congressional approval. Alright? So, your Illinois National Guard, although it's maintained by Illinois, they have to follow the orders of the U.S. Congress. If there's a disaster, the U.S. Congress gives the orders to the National Guard, and then they go out. So if the state needs to use the National Guard, they have to call up Congress, say, hey, we need to use the National Guard. The Congress then says, oh, go ahead, and then the state then deploys the National Guard in accordance to what the U.S. Congress allows. But the U.S. Congress oversees all your National Guards. Okay? Alright. Now, we can't keep battle cruisers and aircraft carriers in the Mississippi River unless U.S. Congress says we can, in times of peace. In times of war, we probably could. But in times of peace, like we are right now, I don't think... Listen, when you see a U.S. aircraft carrier in the Mississippi River, that's because Congress said it could be there. Otherwise, the state can't say, hey, we need a warship over here in the Mississippi River. Illinois can't say that. But U.S. Congress can say that. You know, if the U.S. Congress says, hey, we're getting ready to go to war, we need to ship a battle cruiser and an aircraft carrier to the Mississippi River, they can deploy them there. But that's by congressional approval, not by state approval. If the state thinks we're going to go to war, they have to call Congress and say, hey man, I think we're going to go to war, and then Congress says, hey, we're going to ship out a couple of ships out to your area to protect you. Congress can do that, not the states. Okay? And keep in mind that Illinois cannot declare war on another country. U.S. Congress can, but Illinois cannot declare war on another country. Neither can Nevada, neither can California or Utah or any other state in the Union. None of our states can declare war on a foreign power. But U.S. Congress can. So, that finally concludes Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution. I will be getting into Article 2, and I'll talk about the executive branch of the government. And like I said, I know this was a very long Article 1, but it was showing you how much power Congress really does have. And like I said, Congress can do a lot of things that states cannot do. And they're prohibited from doing it because Congress says, no, you can't do that. Alright. I will tell you more in a future video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down here below. I welcome any feedback, so tell me what you think. I will tell you more in a future video, so stay tuned.